Ricky Rose, the time has come. Meech on. February 13th, get your tickets right now. It's going down. We know Florida gonna be there. Miami gonna be there. The legend himself gonna be in the building, making history. Meech, who else coming?
The whole nation. Detroit, St. Louis, California, everybody. Atlanta, Georgia, ATL, stand up.
Woo. We're gonna make history. Get your tickets right. 50, who own your masters? Who own your masters? I buy your masters. You better shut up. I will buy your masters.
The BMF story just took a shocking twist after Lil Meech publicly blasted Rick Ross, accusing him of exploiting his family's empire for more than $120 million. Sources claim the heated accusations come from a massive deal Ross allegedly secured under the BMF name, one that cut Lil Meech out entirely while cashing in on the legacy his father built.
I want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. There's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big. I can feel it. I'm just talking.
On a heated livestream, Lil Meech let it all out, calling Rick Ross a snake and accusing him of twisting contracts to lock down future BMF projects. "You don't feed off another man's struggle and call yourself a boss," he fired back, his rage spilling over as stunned fans tuned in. The claims tie back to a reported $120 million deal covering films, documentaries, and merchandise tied to the BMF brand. Insiders close to Lil Meech alleged the paperwork was deliberately kept from him, giving Ross and his camp the lion's share of the profits. While Ross has yet to address the accusations, social media is buzzing, some fans siding with Meech, others defending Ross as a shrewd businessman. With the BMF legacy already tangled in financial battles and family tension, this alleged $120 million hustle has only added fuel to the fire. Now, with Lil Meech declaring open war, this feud threatens to become one of hip-hop's ugliest showdowns. Ross, critics say, played Big Meech like a pawn in a massive scheme, while 50 Cent is out here roasting the situation for laughs. The twist? People on the block claim they saw it coming all along. Ross hyped up movie deals, big projects, and talk of legacy building. But when the smoke cleared, Meech and his son were left empty-handed while Ross flaunted mansions, cars, and non-stop luxury. And if you'd been paying attention to the street whispers, the setup traces back to Big Meech's prison release last October, when everyone thought the king was finally coming home to reclaim his throne.
I feel bad for Lil Meech. I don't feel bad for no grown man on this planet. Like, I'm a grown man. Why the f*** I gotta feel bad for another grown man? Like, you a grown man too. What you asking for my sympathy for? You be alright.
Everyone was expecting a major power move, an empire-level play to shake the culture. Then out of nowhere, Rick Ross jumped in, loud with promises, a $120 million film, blockbuster projects, fat contracts. He painted the picture like Meech was finally about to eat off his own name, cashing in on the empire his father built brick by brick. On paper, it looked golden. But when the curtain lifted, there was nothing. Ross delivered zero. Instead, he treated the BMF brand like a prop, a shiny stamp to flex against his longtime rival. 50 Cent. The streets weren't fooled. From the jump, people were side-eyeing Ross, calling his promises nothing more than clout-chasing smoke. Because deep down, everyone already knew who had been putting in the real work. 50 Cent had been the one grinding, funding the BMF series, paying for Lil Meech's acting classes, and opening real doors in Hollywood. He wasn't talking, he was building. Ross, meanwhile, was selling dreams wrapped in glitter. That's what gave Lil Meech a career, 50's investment, not Ross's hype. But instead of riding with the man who actually held him down, Meech leaned closer to Ross, and insiders weren't impressed. Tony Yeo even said it raw, 50's been riding with Lil Meech since day one, no filter, no cap. Now the word is Meech started feeling the weight. Frustration mounting, money looking funny, realizing Ross never linked with him out of loyalty or respect. It was just strategy, a move to keep poking at 50 Cent. That made Meech look less like a king and more like a pawn in someone else's chess game. That's when 50 Cent pulled out the troll playbook. He cracked a jab that Ross asked Lil Meech for his father's prison address just to send Wingstop wings. But that wasn't just a joke, it was a coded shot. 50 was basically telling the world, Ross ain't feeding Meech nothing but scraps.
I wasn't going to address this because I'm not trying to let nobody trick me off the streets. But I never folded, never told, never will. Death before dishonor, always with me. So I'm doing this for my loved ones and the support of my friends and family.
The jokes cut deep because they echoed reality, and that's when things really spiraled. 50 Cent started dropping bombshells about Lil Meech's struggles behind the scenes, claiming he had to personally send him to rehab. He painted a wild picture, Meech showing up to set lit, throwing up during weapons training, and losing control. Then came the revelation about the whippets found in his truck. These weren't petty jabs. 50 was peeling back the gloss to show who had really been pulling strings in this feud. He laughed it off, saying he even had to Google what whippets were. But the point was sharp. 50 positioned himself as the adult keeping Meech on track, while Ross and Big Meech fumbled the very legacy they were supposed to protect. And still, Lil Meech sided with Ross, smiling in clubs, posting for the cameras, moving like everything was fine. The culture wasn't buying it. Fans mocked the BMF name, saying the alliance with Ross crumbled faster than expected. Then Michael Rainey Jr., one of 50's own power stars, stepped in and turned the volume up. "I don't feel sorry for Lil Meech or Big Meech," he said flat out. "Grown men should have seen this coming." That one clip went viral, igniting the internet, and when 50 caught wind, he doubled down, backing Rainey's words and stamping the image of the Meech camp as weak, unprepared, and in the wrong hands. The pattern, critics say, is classic Ross. Allegedly, he's even ditched his own people before, like in Canada, where he left his squad to get jumped and later spun it as a test of strength. Whack 100 jumped into the fire too, blasting Ross as the real villain, saying he was never Big Meech's friend. If Ross had truly cared, Whack argued, he would have moved in silence, kept business private, and built something solid instead of parading Meech like a trophy. But Ross made it all about him, his shine, his ego, his brand. Insiders say Ross knew the play from the start. He gassed Meech up with talk of empires, stacked money, and blockbuster projects, but it was all for show. Behind the scenes, he was using Meech as a pawn in his ongoing feud with 50 Cent. And when the smoke cleared, there was no $120 million empire, no movie deals, just broken promises and fading respect. Ross went silent, leaving Meech stranded with no follow-up and no power moves. Word on the block is Ross even sabotaged Meech's welcome home benefit. While people pointed fingers at 50, insiders say it was Ross who didn't want Meech making a real comeback. He wanted him sidelined while he played social media hero. That betrayal left Meech stumbling into a mess, and the momentum collapsed. When Meech tried to clap back by calling 50 an internet gangster, the streets weren't fooled. They saw it as pure damage control. Because if you zoom out, Ross's whole career shows the same pattern. His rap persona came from the real, Freeway, Rick Ross, a street legend locked up while the rapper ran with his name. The real Rick Ross eventually came home, called him out, and even tried to sue. Same with Larry Hoover. Ross dropped the name in bars while Hoover was behind bars, stacking clout off another man's struggle. Over and over, Ross has built his brand on borrowed names, borrowed power, and borrowed legacies. The formula is always the same: big talk, loyalty promises, empire dreams, then flipping the script for his own shine. Insiders call it parasitic. He drains the energy, takes the followers, then vanishes. With Big Meech, it played out exactly that way. The $120 million fantasy collapsed, leaving Meech stuck in smoke and broken promises. And in the streets, perception is everything. Once the mask slips, it's hard to put it back on. Now the whispers are louder than ever. Ross never cared about rebuilding BMF. He only cared about hijacking the legend to swing at 50 Cent. To him, Meech was just a chess piece, and when the board shifted, loyalty vanished. That's when 50 went harder than ever. He didn't just laugh Ross off, he weaponized the whole situation. Every interview, every post, every jab became part of a bigger play, painting Ross as a fraud who built his career off other men's names and promises he never kept. Old clips resurfaced of Ross dodging questions about the real Rick Ross, stumbling over his CO past, and shady receipts from deals that never added up. The culture ate it up, watching the inflated image deflate in real time, and insiders say 50 isn't just trolling for laughs. He's playing long game chess, and Ross is the piece he's stripping off the board.
Have you ever seen anybody confront Rick Ross about you?
Not in person, no. Anytime I'm around, he disappears.
But is there any video of anybody hey, why are you running around with this dude's name?
By tearing Ross' image apart, 50 Cent is making sure the culture never forgets who actually put in the work to keep the BMF legacy alive. He's got receipts, real investments, and he's the one placing Lil Meech into legitimate Hollywood opportunities. Meanwhile, Ross' so-called contributions look more like smoke and mirrors, big talk, empty promises, and no substance. With every meme, every sarcastic jab, 50 keeps hammering the same point: the streets don't crown clout chasers, they crown builders. And in that arena, Ross simply can't keep up. Ross has been eating off other men's legacies for years, and now it looks like he tried to run the same play on Meech. Truth is, men who move like that are hard to trust. No surprise here. 50 has said from day one that he never respected Ross as a man, never saw him as solid. And the internet is chiming in heavy. One fan called Ross a fraud. Another wrote, Ross messed him up bad. The comments keep rolling, some calling it straight exploitation, others saying it's just how the game works. But the bigger question lingers: was Ross playing Meech from the very beginning, or did Meech get blinded by the shine? Is his loyalty misplaced, or was he truly played for clout while his name became just another Ross prop? In this industry, trust and betrayal walk side by side, and one wrong move can flip an entire legacy upside down. Now it's on you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Did Ross hustle Meech, or did he deliberately leave Big Meech out to dry? Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video before the next bombshell lands. And turn on notifications, you don't want to miss the next expose.